Welcome to the Hidden Why podcast. This is episode 1068, my interview with Purcell, discussing kindness, meditation, and creativity. Enjoy. Hello, Anne. Welcome to the Hidden Why podcast. Great to have you here today.
Thank you for having me here.
We connected back in 2016, and we had you on the podcast discussing transcendental meditation.
Yes, that was, I think, in connection to my first book that I wrote called The Transcendental Meditation Technique and the Journey of Enlightenment. I can't even say that word this morning. Transcendental Meditation Technique and the Journey of Enlightenment. That's correct. That's the book we discussed. And Have you written any books? You've written a few books now, haven't you? But I've written 2 books of poetry and another book called The Power of Transcendence, Growing in Love, Health, Happiness, and Love, and growing in creativity, love, health, happiness, and love.
Very good, very good. So you're a creative person. You do the meditation thing. What's your mission in life, or where do you find meaning?
What a great question. Thank you for that. I think meaning to me ultimately comes with experience. I mean, certainly I find meaning with my family. I find meaning in nature, but unless you have fulfillment within, that outer experience it can be empty. So I think real meaning starts with fulfillment within, and I find that the experience of transcendence is an experience of fullness and wholeness. And when you have that inside, then everything on the outside takes on more depths and more meaning.
What is this experience of transcendence that you talk about? How do we have that experience?
Yes, great question. Another great question. Transcend means to go beyond. And with transcendental meditation, what you're doing is you're going beyond the surface thinking of our mind. The surface thinking is our to-do lists and what we're doing in the day and all those random thoughts that come in and out. But then we have a little bit deeper level, and that's maybe our intellect, which discriminates those thoughts. Then we have a deeper level, which is the level of intuition, which is our fine feeling level. We just feel things. We get these feelings. No, I shouldn't do that. Yes, I should do that. These subtle feelings. So that's a deeper level. But even deeper than that is the transcendent. And that's the state of pure being, pure silence, wholeness. It's an unbounded state. And it's the source of all creativity. All creativity comes from within. And the deeper you are and can experience that transcendent level, the more you pick up those thoughts, those really creative thoughts on that very fine level, beyond all the noise. And then you can act upon those thoughts in a more creative way, in a more dynamic way, because the mind is clear. Because as you transcend, because the mind and body are interconnected, as the mind settles down, the body also gains a very deep state of rest. So when you come out of meditation, the mind's a little more clearer, a little more expanded after having experienced that more silent, unbounded state. And you are able to fulfill your desires, your creative thoughts more effortlessly, more easily.
Do you have to do this meditation to transcend? Is that the best way to do it, or are there other techniques?
Well, my book, the first book I wrote, is about how people throughout history have had the experience of transcendence. Because that state of silence, the silent level of our mind, is within every one of the 8 billion people on the planet. And people throughout time, mystics, saints, writers, artists, athletes, have come across that experience and have written it in their poetry and in their writings. Often that experience was so profound, it transformed their whole life, but often they couldn't have that experience again. They would try to have it. and people have experienced it through other techniques. The reason why I like TM, Transcendental Meditation, is because it's a completely effortless technique.
Right.
And it allows you, it like sets up the dive, but the dive happens automatically because the transcendent is a very joyous experience, and the mind will go to that which is more pleasing automatically.
How long have you been practicing this now?
In November, I just celebrated my 50th anniversary.
50 years. Wow.
50 years, yeah.
Now, it's a particular type of technique, right? And just refresh us. I know we discussed it more in depth in the previous conversation we had, but you're using a mantra more so in this meditation, are you not?
Yes. Yeah. There's two things with TM. One is a mantra, and then the technique, how to use the mantra. The mantra is a meaningless sound. It's not like a mantra, I want to be better, or a sound that has some meaning connected to it, because if it had a meaning connected, it would keep you on the level of thinking, on the level of contemplation. So this is a sound. Its effect is in its soothing quality.
Yeah.
They are sounds from the Vedic tradition that have been used through time immemorial, and the teacher of Transcendental Meditation knows how to choose the right sound for you. And then there's the technique of how to use the sound, and that we can't learn it from a book. You do need to learn from a certified teacher of TM. And so on the first day, when you take the course, it's a 4-day course, about an hour, hour and a half over 4 days. The first day you actually learn to meditate, you get your mantra and the technique, how to use it. But in your very first day, you experience that transcendent process and experience that level.
What is that feeling like when you get that to that level beyond?
I still remember to this day my very first time I transcended. When I was 18, when I learned to meditate, and I before I learned to meditate, I was very social, parties. It was the 60s. And I didn't think there was any way I could sit still quietly. But I do remember so clearly that in my first meditation, just everything settled down. It was just so still. I just felt so still. But yet I was very alert to everything around me. I remember the birds singing. I remember just being subtly aware of the environment, but yet there was this profound stillness. So it's an experience that we call it restful alertness. The mind is very still, but it's also very alert. And it's an experience of more wakefulness. You're awake not just to the outer environment, but you're awake to your own silence, your own being. All the time our attention is directed outward. Everything we learn in school, our business, seeing our friends, all through every one of our senses, everything's outward. The music, the TV, the internet, friends. But with TM, we direct the attention inward, and our senses become aware of silence itself. We can hear the silence. We can visually see the silence as there are many different experiences over time, and the experience matures over time. But in the beginning, it's an unbounded dark space. In time, people begin to see light, flowing light, sparkling light in that space. They can perceive huge expansion, like they're as big as the universe. Many poets and mystics and in their writings over time have described transcendence like as big as the universe, or feeling one with all creation, or an experience of pure love, or it flows like a river, or they feel like they're in the stars and the galaxies. I have a quote, I think, in my book, let's see if I can find it quickly, of Einstein, or let's see, describing it. Oh yeah, Ralph Waldo Emerson. Can I read this to you?
Yeah, please do.
He gives a very beautiful experience of it. This is in a excerpt from The Oversoul, and he says, "Within man is the soul of the whole, the wise silence, the universal beauty, to which every part and particle is equally related, the eternal one. And this deep power in which we exist and whose beatitude is all accessible to us is not only self-sufficing and perfect in every hour, but the act of seeing and the thing seen, the seer and the spectacle, the subject and the object are one. We see the world piece by piece as the sun, the moon, the animal, the tree, but the whole, of which these are the shining parts, is the soul." So the soul is just another name for the transcendent.
Right. How long has this meditation been around for?
Well, it's been around for time immemorial, but Maharishi Mahesh Yogi brought it to the West in 1958. So it's been taught, so how many years is that? It's been taught for almost 70 years in the West.
So you're a fairly early adopter of the meditation, aren't you?
Well, yes, but there was a whole group that I started in 1972, sure. And in the 60s, late 60s, it became really popular. You heard the Beatles started, and Donovan and the Beach Boys, they were all in India with Maharishi. But it's really interesting. In those days, it was more of a fad and people learning. But now, these days, especially with the pandemic, we had a program called Heal the Healers. And now with that, which was to teach the first responders, the doctors and nurses. And now we're in 70 hospitals in the US. Mm-hmm. We have research studies at Duke University and several hospitals in New York, University of Miami, with doctors and nurses. The Department of Defense has given millions of dollars for research with veterans who have post-traumatic stress disorder. We've taught in schools and with abused women and in the military and several military academies. So now there's so much research behind it. It's gaining mainstream adoption, not acceptance, but adoption now. So that's really an exciting time.
It's obviously got some power behind the practice. I mean, what have you found with the people that you teach? Because I know you're a teacher of it. But with yourself as well in your personal experience, what, I guess, benefits have you found from this transcendence?
Personally or with the people I teach?
Both. I guess, yeah. I mean, I'm sure there's some commonalities.
It's interesting. Everyone's different and everyone's have different physiology. Like we teach in prisons. I haven't taught in prisons, but and they're so stressed, but the contrast for them to transcend and experience that silence is such a great relief to their whole physiology. And then you teach someone who's very happy and easy and go-lucky, and they enjoy it, but that contrast might not be so extreme. But what I find in people who learn just in generally is that they just feel more settled, they feel more calm. But in activity, they feel more clear. They feel less tendency to be reactive. There's a little more space between them in their thinking. If someone jumps at them, instead of being reactive, they can think, oh, I don't have to react. And they become a little more solution-orientated to solve the problems. And I think in my own life, what I've enjoyed is more creativity. Yeah. I never thought of myself as a writer. After I learned TM, I started writing. I started writing poetry, and then I started writing songs. And it's just feels like there's just more of this spontaneous flow, and you have to direct it. And for me, I direct it in the form of songs and music.
So you weren't really into the songs and poems before transcendental meditation?
No, I wasn't very academic at school. And I love music. I took guitar lessons, but I didn't even make the school singing group. I don't really consider myself a singer. Have recorded lots of songs that are on YouTube, but I try to find people to sing my songs mostly, which I really enjoy doing. And so that is my joy. But I also work. I work at the international level, the TM organization. We have a women's wing, which we started 10 years ago. So I'm very involved in that. And so I'm involved in a lot of administration too. So in administration and any work, there are challenges and dealing with people and meeting deadlines and all that kind of thing. And I feel it's given me more patience to deal with those type of situations.
Sure. Well, the meditation certainly will, won't it? Will give you that, again, that ability to have pause between breath and thoughts and all that sort of stuff.
Yes, for sure. And interestingly enough, it grows over time, that calmness grows in activity and that clarity. And there's a really interesting study. It was done, I think, in Norway, where they measured the brain waves of high-performing executives, high-performing musicians, high-performing athletes, and they found that they had more coherence between the left and right hemisphere of the brain. They weren't meditators; they just were high-performing adults. And what they found with practitioners of TM, that over 4 or 5 years, they develop that high-performing brainwave coherence. It doesn't mean that they're going to necessarily become a great musician or a great athlete. Whatever is natural for them, they become more effective at. That coherence between the right and left hemisphere in the brain grows more and more over time and becomes more established. So we don't meditate just for the sake of the experience of meditation. We also meditate for the growth in activity, to be more effective. A lot of executives teach it in their company. I don't know if you ever heard of Ray Dalio. He is one of the top hedge fund owners. He's been meditating since he was 18, and he offers it to his whole company. And it's interesting, a lot of you wouldn't know this, but a lot of people who are at the peak of their profession have been meditating for a long time, like Jerry Seinfeld since he was 18, Howard Stern, believe it or not, since he was 18. And then, of course, many musicians like Paul McCartney and Donovan have been meditating for years and years and years.
That's cool, eh? Some big names, obviously, getting into the TM practice. Yes.
It's yes, for sure. And it's nice because they're starting to speak about it more. I think for many years they just did it quietly. And now they're coming out and speaking about it publicly.
Wow. So how long do you meditate for, and how often do you do it?
Well, when one learns TM, one meditates for 20 minutes twice a day. That is found to be optimum. You meditate for 20 minutes in the morning. That gives you the energy and the clarity to get through the day. And then around the afternoon, you start to feel more tired. And then you have your afternoon meditation, and then that gives you that energy for the evening. I have a nephew who meditates. He commutes to New York, and he meditates on the train on the way in, and then he meditates on the train on the way out. And he says that when he comes home, instead of being tired, he comes home and feels more refreshed.
Does that make a noise when you meditate with the mantra? Like, is that?
No. You can meditate you can meditate anywhere, in the car, in the airplane, not while you're driving, of course. Sure. But when I was flying here a couple of days ago to Florida, I did my meditation on the plane flying here. Okay. I did it on the car on the way to the airport, and then at the last half an hour of the plane ride, I did it before arriving here. Gotcha. And no, you're just quiet. People think you're sleeping, or sitting comfortable. You don't have to sit in any position. You just sit comfortably. And so it comes in very, very useful, especially it's a great use of time too, when you're
Yeah,
just sitting on a
absolutely.
plane. Have you ever done any type of meditation?
I do mindfulness meditation.
Yes.
Yeah, I sort of mix it up. Now I lie on acupuncture mats and do breathing meditation.
Breathing. And what are the benefits of those for you?
Well, the oxygen in the blood is apparently good,
Good.
and I
Yeah.
have seen that change. And yeah, it does calm me before the day. So I do that in the morning
Yes.
generally.
Yes. Yes.
So then
And
I found, yep.
do you do podcasts as your full-time profession?
No, this is my hobby.
Oh, great. Okay. What's your I'm interviewing you. What is
My
your full-time?
full-time profession is real estate.
Oh, wonderful.
I
So
sell
you have
properties, yeah.
oh, fantastic. So you have a diverse range of interests.
Well, the podcast, I get to interview people like you, which is great for
Yes.
me and great
Yes.
for them, for the audience as well.
Yes.
But
Yes.
yeah, no, real
Yes.
estate is my occupation. This
Oh, that's
is my
great.
hobby.
I have a lot of realtors in my family, so I can relate to
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, I love it. And
Yes.
you
Yeah.
talk about kindness. Have you got a new book coming out about kindness, or
No, I wrote a song called "Be Kind." I
be
can play it
kind?
for you if you want. Yes, and it's done pretty well. It's got about 17,000 views on
Right,
YouTube,
nice.
and
Why did you
kindness.
write the song?
Well, I wasn't planning to write the song. I wrote the song. It was interesting. My mother passed away a couple years ago. She lived her full life, lived to 96, did really well. But the day after she passed away, I went for a morning walk on the beach, and I was going over the dunes, and some people were walking out, and I smiled at them, said good morning. They smiled at me, and I'm sure they thought I was just, happy going to the beach. And it just made me realize, because inside, obviously, I was feeling very tender, a little raw with emotion. And it just was a reminder that you really don't know what people are feeling inside. And even for about 3 or 4 days, I almost felt a disconnect with my environment. Usually I just feel very happy-go-lucky and talk to people. But for a few days, I just sort of felt like almost separate from everyone, because there's a lot of emotions. And I kept thinking, gosh, no one knows what I'm going through. I wonder what other people are going through. And that inspired the song. The first lines are, you don't know if one is hurting, you don't know if one is in pain. What if his insides are churning with sadness of the pouring rain? And so it was just a reminder of the importance of being kind, being sensitive to other people, because people go through things, even
You just
people
don't know, do you? Yeah.
Yeah, people even well, they don't have to necessarily. Obviously, some people really suffer and have real challenges in life, and you want to help them, but still, everyday people can feel delicate and sensitive. And when you show kindness, it can make all the difference in the world to them.
Can you bring that kindness into your meditation? So, some
Well,
meditation they do, practice kindness meditation, things like that.
yeah, the Buddhist meditation is a lot about practicing kindness. In the TM philosophy, when you think about it, what I'm going to ask you a question. What is it that keeps people from being kind, do you think?
What stops them from being kind?
Yes.
It's probably a disconnect with the self.
That's one reason.
And a pursuit for their own survival, I suppose, if you look at it on a deeper scale.
Survival of the fittest, yeah. I think another reason is stress, because I think everyone's experienced in their life that you can just snap at someone, even in people you're really close to, your wife, your siblings, you can just snap at them because, and almost a lot of the reasons are because you're feeling some tension inside, or they just have a way of triggering, especially family, something inside you. And it just, you snap, and you don't mean to be, and afterwards you don't mean to be unkind, and afterwards you feel bad, and apologize. Sometimes you don't feel bad. So if you're stressed, intense, there's a greater chance that you may not be kind to someone.
Yeah.
And also, a lot of the reasons why you're stressed is because you're tired or you've taken on too much responsibility and you can't handle it. And so you get all kind of discombobulated and you start getting upset with people. And interestingly enough, in that state, you're less effective, you're less coherent. And a lot of people think meditation, if I meditate, I'll become passive and I'll be less effective in my work. But it's the opposite with TM. Maharishi often talked about do less and accomplish more, do nothing and accomplish everything, meaning settle down to that very quiet state, that deep silence. And then come out of meditation, you bring that silence, you bring that calm, you bring that clarity. And it's like pulling the arrow back to that silence and then shooting it. And then it'll be way more effective. You're more clear. You don't snap at people. You're more effective. And in our day-to-day life, if we're tired, we just pull the arrow back a little bit and it's not very effective. And we get short-tempered with our people, with other people we work with and our friends. I'm sure everyone can relate to that.
Absolutely.
At some point. Yeah. So.
And I couldn't agree more. I think finding that balance in life sometimes, as a realtor, I'm very busy and often it's an excuse more than anything, I think, where I work and don't give myself that time. But realistically, I can meditate in the morning. I can come into work at a reasonable hour rather than really super early. And I can finish early too,
Yes.
Sometimes less is more. And if I meditate, I find that I'm calm throughout the day and I just don't take on as much because I don't think there needs to be all this stuff in my life now to have a happy life.
Exactly. And also a lot of people who meditate, they'll come home and they just feel they have all these problems and they're all tense. And then they meditate and they realize afterwards, what was I so upset about? Because they've gotten rid of that kind of layer of stress and that fatigue, or they come out with a solution as well. And you bring up a really good point. We do take on too much. And there's that axiom, work harder, or, everyone, it's almost like who can work the hardest and take on as much and stay up late. But there's that saying, work smarter, not harder. Yeah. And work smarter means having more balance, having more rest, and you'll actually get more done. And people who go away on vacation come back with new ideas and they're recharged. So this is a way you can go on vacation twice a day and get recharged.
Where do people have to go online to do this? Can they do training online or does it have to be face-to-face?
The first day you have to learn teacher. There's the US website is tm.org, the main website, and then the women's website is tm-women.org. We have a very active organization in Australia. I'm not sure the Australian website. For some reason, I thought you were in California, but you can just type in. Nice. You can just type in tm.org, and there's a place for countries, and you can look up in your country and find a TM teacher near you.
Yeah, nice.
Near you as well.
So you should check it out, guys. Check how can people reach out to you and find out more about you and what you do? Is there a website that you've got? Or?
Yes, my website is www.enlightenmentforeveryone.com.
www.enlightenmentforeveryone. I'll stick that in the show notes. I'm just typing it in now.
Thank you very much. Yeah, my books are listed on there. My CDs are on there. And then some things about TM. There's a link to a photography website as well.
do multiple bunch of things in your creative endeavors.
Yeah. That's the fun. I love working, of course, with a team organization, but
yeah.
When I'm doing music and writing, that I'm just really floating. That really is a natural high in itself as well.
What are you working on next?
I have a new CD coming out, and I have a poetry where the poems are all done. This friend of mine who's an editor is going to go through them. So just everything has its own time.
Lovely. Awesome. And nice to connect again.
Yeah, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. It's wonderful to connect again to you.
Well, let's keep in touch. And guys, check it out at thehiddenwhy.com. Until next time, peace, passion, and purpose. See you soon. Thanks, guys, for listening to this episode. I hope you enjoyed what you heard. I hope you love what you're hearing. If you like this episode, guys, or any of the episodes that you're listening to here at The Hidden Why, please do me a favor by sharing it. You can share it with your families. You can share it with your loved ones. You can do that by using your favorite social media channels, using the icons on the platform that you're listening to The Hidden Why podcast. Also, guys, if you're a fan of the show, please connect with me. Connect with me at thehiddenwhy.com. I love to hear from you. I love to converse with the people that listen to this show to find out what they enjoy, what they don't enjoy, and perhaps if they have any questions or feedback for the show as well. You can stay up to date with all that I'm releasing here, guys. I do a solo show every Monday, a 3-minute thought every Thursday. I do 2 interviews a week on a Wednesday and a Saturday, and a book review every Friday. You can stay up to date with all that by subscribing to my newsletter at thehiddenwhy.com. Just enter your email address there, and also subscribing to the podcast on the platform that you choose to listen to your podcasts. You can also support the show, guys, by using the Amazon links at thehiddenwhy.com. So if you like books, you can get all the books that I review there, and anything else really that you like to purchase through Amazon. So use that link, it helps support the show. And we've also got a deal with Audible, guys. Audible is a fantastic way to listen to all your favorite books. We've got a deal with them so you can get 2 free books when you subscribe, or subscribe to a 30-day free trial. So check that out again at thehiddenwhy.com. Guys, that's it from me. You know what to do. Go out there, breathe more passion into every single moment. Do everything with greater purpose, and in doing so you will discover your hidden why. This is The Hidden Why. My name is Lee Martinuzzi. Until next time, peace, passion, and purpose. See you soon.